Your faith in what you do is not what's going to move the needle on how you're doing it. It's your follow through that's going to do that. Let's talk today about the truth between faith and follow up and why you need both and how to make those show up and work powerfully in your life. Because God gave you the message, and now it's time for you to follow through on the systems and the processes that are going to get you seen. Hi, my name is Steve Kidd. I'm a third generation minister, international best-selling author of 39 books and counting. I've had the wonderful privilege of working with nearly 5,000 people in the process of writing, publishing, marketing their books to bestseller, and everything that goes beyond that. I've been a marketing expert now. We've had a marketing company for more than 40 years. And I've had that wonderful, wonderful privilege of working with people at every level, everything from, stay-at-home parents to multi-billionaires and everything in between. And I love being able to do that. I love being able to come in to you and show you how your clarity, consistency, and connection drives you to that thing that we all want, and that is making money. How does that work? Where is the connection? And how can we use the things that we're called to do to be able to show up as the person that we know we want to be, as well as show up in the way that we really want to make the difference in this world as? You see, and most of you that know me, and I talked about, those of you that don't know me, I talked about here at the very beginning of this, being a third generation minister. And I'm kind of a little bit of the black sheep in the quote unquote ministers in my family because my gifting is evangelism. So most of what I've done has been outside of the, quote unquote four walls. Whether you talk about back when I was a young man as the lead singer of a Christian rock band, or you talk about the travels that I've done all around the world. And yes, my hands are inside of my shirt because I am freaking freezing. I almost want to reach here forward and grab my gloves. Okay, sorry about it. Thanks for dealing with me. I appreciate it. So I only bring it up because faith is an integral part of my life. As I was saying, and I've said many times, I dig me some Jesus, okay? But I'm also probably one of the most irreligious, if not flat out sacrilegious people you'll ever meet. It's just, it's who I am. I am more likely to be accepted without drinking, not as a judgmental thing, just because I had a whole bunch of friends that were like, here, try this, here, try this. And I keep wondering why people keep putting cough medicine inside of my whatever else. But I find myself being more comfortable and more accepted in a bar than I would be, even though my grandfather was a minister, my father was a minister, my uncle's a minister, blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? Even though I have the pedigree for it, my gifting tends to lead me out into other places. And it also, though, has been a real benefit my whole life because I also learned very, very young. In fact, before I ever even got into high school, I was beginning to start doing sales, and I did sales throughout all of my high school. And then by the time I was 19, I was a sales manager because I knew the difference that I wanted to make. I felt the calling. I had that faith. But I also knew that, your faith doesn't really make you any money. Even worse than writing a book to make money is becoming a minister to make money. And I'm not saying that, we all haven't seen the, tirade of list of people who have made millions and, whatever of dollars. It's not typical. Normally you do the thing that makes you the money so that you can afford to do the ministry, to do the impact, to do the mission-driven kind of things that you do in this world. And any of us that have been in it for more than a minute, absolutely know that. And that's okay. Like you said, it's helped me have a company now for 40 years and helped me be able to, and the 5,000 is just the authors I've worked with. That's not including all the other people that I've worked with in all the other segments of everything that we've done over the course of the last 40 years. I mean, back 40 years ago, we were helping introduce the newly emerging laptop computer into industries like the insurance and things like that. So I mean, it's changed over the years. There was one time when I had a catalog, and literally the catalog was this thick. I kid you not. That might even actually be small. That was full of all audio and video equipment that I was selling to mainly churches, as well as some more commercial locations. I helped a radio station, actually, the radio station that I was working at the time, when they got bought out by the conglomeration of churches. I helped them purchase a new, yeah. See, there went my brain. There's 40 years of life happening. A new generator, not a generator, but anyway, the big thing that actually transmitter. There you go. Sorry, sometimes words just don't work, right? And you're talking, that's a really huge investment even for a small radio station like that. And everywhere from that to one-off dual deck tape players. Yeah, that gives you an idea how long ago it was too, because then the cutting edge technology was dual deck tape recorders. Okay. And I've seen all of those transitions and stuff through the years. I love being, and my brain tends to want to live in that air in front of the bleeding edge of things, seeing the concept of streaming video before it was any way at all possible. I mean, I was thinking of ways of being able to do it where, you'd have to pre-plan like 2 weeks in advance to begin the download, and have to continuously be checking on it, because you're talking about days of the dial-up. And after a certain amount of time, the dial-up internet, often would disconnect. So it would have been pretty hard, but, it would have taken a couple of weeks to have gotten one movie, an hour and a half, 2 hour movie, right? That's just kind of how my brain works. But I've had to also learn, and I'm still honestly learning the skills of how to take that highly creative, that reason why I've written, published 39 books. I have probably another half a dozen to a dozen at least that are, sitting in the wings waiting. And right now I'm actually just putting the final touches. Actually, I'm just doing the things that are the companions to it. I've got a really cool website that I'm putting together so that the book can not only be actionable, but it can really make a difference in your life, of the redo of my book, Bestsellers Only the Beginning, because we talk about it all the time here. That yes, bestseller is the day one where you launch your book, but then from there, you need a strategy, you need a plan. And that is where faith, where the rubber meets the road, if you will. Faith is great. Faith lets you have that clarity, and it drives you to that connection. But consistency is follow through. Consistency is I'm going to go out and I'm going to do this live every day like I've done for the last several months now. I'm going to have a regular email campaign, which is the next thing that I'm trying to teach myself the skill of. Honestly, I'm not good at consistent newsletter type of thing. It's one of those things. As my friend always says, it's one of those things that I need to stop doing what I suck at, and I need to just have somebody come in and just really do that every other day or once a week or whatever is best. And take all of these lives and all the shorts that I've done and all kinds of things and just really put something actionable out. And yeah, probably you're right. Probably what I really need to do is have an AI agent that takes all of that stuff and then says, here's the written version of what this should be. And then somehow, get that uploaded. Anyway, it's all about that follow through. And in the places where I know that I'm not good at, or shouldn't be the one doing it. I should have somebody else doing it. In the follow through, those are the places that, my business right now today struggles. And throughout the course of the last 40 years, I can point to those places where there isn't the follow through. Okay. The world's changed a lot in the last 40 years. Okay. Consistency that leads to follow through, those numbers are dramatically higher than they are now. We live in an AI world where content is just mass. I mean, there's just so much stuff out there. Okay. Back in the day when people were sending out literal mailers, you would get usually a like postcard size kind of a thing. It was kind of the beginning of the conversation. We knew statistically that you had to send out mailers like that. We needed to have 7 times that we connected with the people. Okay. And so we knew, and so statistically speaking, we knew that, if you sent out a mailer, you'd get like 1 or 2% of the people would, want to book the appointment, come and try their free key on their car, whatever that kind of thing was. Okay. And, we knew that we needed 7 different touches with the people. Okay. So the mailer, a TV commercial, a radio spot, and then of course the people coming onto the lot and those kind of things. We needed all of those different things. That number was 7. That was back in the late 80s. Okay. And then the internet came around. Okay. 1994-ish is when I started in internet space. And by about 96 or 97, when I was working as an operations manager, I now actually still own Alvius, which was the name of the dial-up internet company. And I was working as the operations manager. Then the number moved up to 12 because we had email. We had email and some really basic entry versions of what became text messages and messenger kind of programs, IRC chats and things like that, for those of you that are big geeks like me. Okay. And then we knew we needed 12 times that we need to do that. So think about, and if you just went to the 7 or the 12, think about how many times you have spoken to the people that are in your group. You have, sent out an email. You have messaged a follow-up message to the people. Okay. What are the ways? How do you have that touch, that consistency with people? You see, you have the big vision. You have that faith in what you're doing. You believe in yourself, and you should. What you're doing is cool in the world. Absolutely, it is. But it's the follow-up. The fortune is in the follow-up, is the old saying. Okay, so then we move forward into the world, and we talked about messenger and things like that. And IRC, internet relay chat, for those of you that are wondering what that is, moved into and became messenger, which then later on became text messages, and all the things that we're so used to now. But that also has made the number go up. Now, the statistical number that I heard now is that instead of 7 or 12, you need 47 touches. Okay. I heard Gary Vaynerchuk talking the other day about how you really need to be doing about 100. This is cross-platform, so across 6 to 10 different social medias, you need to have 100 social media posts a day just to have your message be consistent and out there and make the right amount of touches. In other words, we may need as much as 100 touches with people. So we've gone from 7 to 12 to 47 to now possibly as much as 100 different times we need to share our message with a person. So let's take, for example, these lives that I'm doing. Okay. Now, I've shared many times, these lives are designed on purpose to create mass amounts of content so that they can then be repurposed in posts, in especially shorts and things like that. And, if you happen to follow my other YouTube, I have 2. I have one for the long ones and for all of those kind of things. And then I have the other one that's for, for just shorts. And that's really all that's on that one. I have the 10 to 60-second clips, and then every once in a while I'll do a 2 to at most 5 minute kind of highlight reel. And I was getting really good about doing that with each one of these daily lives, and I've kind of not taken the time to do that one because I haven't seen a whole lot of demand for that. And I don't want to, what's the word I'm looking for? Water down that channel with that. It has a very specific purpose on purpose. And that's okay. And what you'll find if you looked at the statistics of those channels is that, the long lives have a couple sometimes, likes, and every once in a while a comment, and sometimes none. And that's okay. That's kind of like I said, it's the place to hold all the mass amounts of content. And then on the shorts, and we're beginning to build. It was at the point where, we were lucky if we were going to have, 20 to 50 to 100 people. Now our low days are more in the 200 to 300 range, and we've had a couple of 2000s, and several that are well over 1,000 to 1,500. It grows, it builds because we're touching and we're giving, and the more that I refine and hone the message. Now, why am I doing all that? I'm doing it for you. I'm doing it because I know the fortune is in the follow-up. And so, yes, I need to follow up. And yes, I need to keep in front of you so that you know, okay, because I want to be your system behind your consistency. So you need to have a follow-up methodology, and we've got a marketing plan in place so that you can really touch with the people and then have an ongoing follow-up with them. That's more of like a step 3. Step 1, okay, we launch the book, we make it a bestseller. That's step 1. Got to have the book. You got to have the message out there. Okay, yes, you want to have it so that you also deliver it as a signature talk and so that you can go on podcasts and things like that. I know it's really funny, my finger's inside of this, isn't it? You want that. And that's all step 1. Okay, and the third party credentialing of you accomplishing step 1 of having that clarity of the message is making the book a bestseller. Okay, and that's a day 1 launch strategy. And then step 2, okay, step 2 is reviews, consistent sales, and all those kind of things. And I invite you, whether you've worked with me before or not, I invite you to come in and really become a part now of having that step 2, that consistency of those kind of things. All right. And right along with that, and I would encourage you to do quote unquote step 2 and step 3 simultaneously, is the follow-up stuff. Okay, how are we connecting to the people? How are we turning our book into a great big lead magnet? The best lead magnet you could ever create in the world, better than any other landing page and all of the, long scroll, blah, 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 upsell, up, bump offer, second upsell, email follow-up chain, way above all of those. The most powerful thing you can do is have that short read book. Short read is a book of less than 100 pages. You might even want to consider the book, and it depends. It depends on how much you gamify, how much actions and activities you have in the book. The more of those you have, the longer you want the book to be, because you can keep the person going. But ultimately, it's a big landing page where you can truly give. Okay, remember we put out the book, How Can I Help You Today? Radical generosity. Truly give of yourself. Teach and share and earn the know, the like, and the trust, because we buy from people that we know, like, and trust. And in that process, have methodologies to be able to really connect with the people. If you thought about your book, versus being this, let me put out this tome of my brilliance, but rather as a really cool landing page that you invested enough of you in a person that they wanted to know more about how they could go deeper with you. And we've got that. And like I said, that's really technically step 2 is the consistency and the reviews, consistent sales, consistent reviews. Got that in place. You need to DM the word amplifier, DM the word amplify, or even just AMP. DM that to me, comment that. You need to do that, okay? Because you need that to show up. You need to not go on to and have this amazing launch and then ghost to the whole world because you don't have a follow-up. See, the money's in the follow-up. And the first step of follow-up is having the systems in place to have your marketing of that out there. So this again is about marketing it. It's about having your book, who you are, your name, what you do out there consistently for people to know. I'm going too long today. I'm already at the 20-minute mark. With the verified reviews, with the ongoing purchases, with people showing a real interest in your book, not just they look at it, but they actually get it. And having that system in place, your book is going to show up better and more powerfully. The faith that you put into your book and the deep parts of yourself that you poured into creating the book, this is what the next step is. So please do DM the word amplify, comment the word amplify, because your faith speaks out loudly, but your follow-up is what gets the faith that you spoke out. It's what gets it heard. Let's get your faith heard today. I look forward to working with you, to helping you out. Again, like I said, DM the word amplify in or send me a comment, and let's really truly get you seen and heard and on the road to getting paid. We're going to be together again tomorrow where we're going to talk about the momentum window. We're talking about this whole holiday season and how we need the momentum right now because there are some really cool and amazing things. And I want you to be part of it. I want you to raise your hand going, pick me, pick me, pick me. All right? Let's do that. Until we're together again next time, I hope you have a great week.